Recording in progress.
Good afternoon, everybody. Let me, by offering from, on behalf of the Army Football Brotherhood, the United States Military Academy at West Point, and our United States Corps of Cadets, our condolences to the University of Virginia, their football program, on the loss of the three players, to Coach Elliott and his staff. I can't imagine what they're going through right now, and just the tragedy that took place. Our heartfelt condolences, and just wish them well in their ability to move forward, and pray for a peace which passes all understanding. And it's difficult, I know, for them in times like this to find that peace, but certainly we're thinking of them. And we've had our share of tragedies here at West Point, and it hurts, and it rips your emotions to the core, and so I know Coach Elliott's an outstanding leader, and I know he'll rally that team together and bring them together. So we just think of them. Coach Gaither, Keith Gaither, was on our staff for several years here. He was on the staff there at the University of Virginia, so we're thinking of him as well and his family. Moving on to this week, and preparing for UConn, obviously coming off a very gut-wrenching loss down in Troy, and getting back to work and trying to get ready for UConn, who's just what an incredible story they've been this year. Great job that Coach Moore has done, and their players. I mean, just looking at their team, there's a lot of their guys from a year ago that are on that team. They're just playing confident, playing so well. Very physical team, and very, very impressive to see them, particularly this last weekend, beating Liberty, a ranked team, and going on I've watched them on TV, and beating Boston College. Big wins for them, and certainly would be for us. So they got a really good football team, and we know we're going to be in for a fight this Saturday. So our guys are a resilient group, mentally tough, and when you've experienced some difficult losses like we have the last couple of weeks, it's human nature to allow that to affect you. But I think our guys, as well as anybody, are able to put it behind them and push forward and get ready. So that's what we're going to need to do. We know that this Saturday is going to be a real challenge for us, and we're glad to be playing at home for our seniors. This is their last game at Mikey Stadium. A senior class who's experienced success in their careers here, and are fighting to have some more success here as we continue this season.
Hi, Jeff. Rich DeMarco, Army Radio Network. You mentioned the senior class. What does this group mean to you?
Every class means a lot to me. Every player in this room means a lot to me. The senior class is a great group of guys. They're strong leaders. They're competitors, and I think they're just a special group of young men. They came through a difficult season as freshmen in 2019. They were part of maybe the most resilient team that perhaps I've been a part of here. Going from the 2019 season where we only won 5 games, and going into 2020 where we were going through a global pandemic and there wasn't anybody in the stands, and they were at one point in the season isolated to single rooms in a hotel and taking classes online, and at a place that doesn't offer the typical freedoms of a college student, even when you're in a pandemic. Our guys couldn't go through the McDonald's drive-through, couldn't meet their parents at the pizza shop to grab a pizza. have friends come over and hang out in a room, and those are things that, though people were kind of distanced, there's still those opportunities, and here is just much more difficult. So for these guys to fight through that and to have a good season as sophomores, back that up with their junior team or their junior season last year, to be able to win a bowl game over an SEC team, and then the way that they led this team, and though we haven't had the success that we would have hoped to have had at this point or to this point, and these guys have continued to fight and continued to lead and kept this team together, and I think that's a testament to the culture that they've created and nurtured among this team and in the locker room. So I think they're a great bunch of guys, and there's some good players in that class, and so what we want to do is honor them by playing our very best on Saturday.
And you mentioned honor them. What would a win mean for this team to give to this senior group their last time at Mikey?
No, I think we're so in need of a victory just to make ourselves feel good about the work that we're putting in. That's the reward that you seek for the investment and the time. And these guys have a lot invested in each other, a lot invested in this program. So for all of us, not just the senior class, for all of us, we'd like to get a victory. But we'd sure like for the seniors to be able to experience a victory, their last game in Mikey Stadium, and have that memory. And hopefully we'll play well enough to give ourselves a chance.
Thanks, Coach.
Joe, you can start.
Good afternoon, Coach Monken. Joe Iacono with GoBlackKnights.com. Saturday's loss to Troy had many narratives that can obviously translate over to life lessons and leadership lessons, for the future leaders of America's Army. Whenever you lose a game like that, it's tough for everybody, but specifically Tyler and Quinn Moretzky, who's, had kind of some more out in the open things for everybody to see with that loss. Have you or any of the coaches had an opportunity to speak with them specifically, and what's their mindset heading into the UConn game this Saturday?
Sure we have. And those guys nobody feels worse about it than they do. But both of those guys have made a lot of plays for us, too, that have helped us win games. So they've been a part of some big victories, and they've been reminded of that. So hopefully those guys will come back this week and just perform better and play better. And I expect them to. But, those were big plays in the game. There were others, but they were big plays in the game. And unfortunately, those are two guys that are trying to do their best, trying to play the game as well as they can play it, and made some errors. But this game is played by humans, not played by machines. And I know how hard both of those guys have worked and how much emotional investment they have in this team, and the mental and physical effort that they put into their jobs. So I'm proud of both of those guys. I'm glad they're both on our team, and I'm expecting that they'll make some plays this weekend.
And speaking of UConn, Coach, for my final question, you mentioned about what great job Coach Moore has done there. And you look at where that program was a year ago when they came into Mikey versus where they are now with a lot of the same players. What do you attribute his success to, and being able to turn that program around so quickly and so successfully?
I'm certain it's just the culture that he's created in that program and raised the standard to meet new expectations. And he's very organized, very knowledgeable football coach. He's hired a good staff, and I think sometimes when there's just new life breathed into an organization, often that creates a spark. And he's an accomplished football coach with a great track record, and I'm certain that those players were excited when he came aboard, and have worked really hard to get them to this level of success. it's Coach Moore would tell you, just as I tell you guys, it's the players that make the plays, and credit to the players for buying in and performing so well.
Welcome, Coach Ken Kreitzer, Campbell's Media. Going back to Saturday, defense holding Troy to 10 points was accomplished. Especially two of the starters, Leo Wallen and Marcel Broughton. But Camden O'Gara stepped up with 7 tackles, and Quinn Hammond 7 also. Jones got back into the mix with 4 tackles. How did you feel the defense really came back, given that they had a challenge and they had 2 of their starters out?
I thought the defense played really well. Coach Woody had a good plan, and our coaches prepared those guys, but our players executed very well. And there were very few drives where Troy kind of got it going on us. The one drive that they got the field goal coming out of halftime, they threw the ball down there, and they had several big plays on the drive. But the great job that our defense did to keep them out of the end zone and force a field goal, I think, was a great effort. And then obviously the touchdown drive, the corner route on 4th and 3, it's well executed play. We brought some pressure and didn't get there, and then just being a little bit out of position on the throw, and kind of caught an uncontested ball. We were trailing him, but those were just a couple of plays, and I thought our defense really played hard, creating the turnover there we talked about the fumble, but creating that turnover, we had the ball in the red zone, and then when Troy had the ball down there on the goal line, and Cam came up with the interception, those are big plays in the game, and so certainly I think our defense played with an effort to give us a chance to win, and so really pleased with the way they played, and hopefully we'll continue to play good defense and improve as a defense.
Coach is asking a little bit about UConn. Their offense, their quarterback beyond turnovers, got 1,100 yards on the season, 9 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and running back Robert Burns, 255 yards. What do you see in the UConn offense? Seems like they like to run the ball more than pass.
They do. They're philosophy-wise probably a lot like us. They want to run the ball, control the clock, limit the possessions of the other team, play tough defense. The quarterback can extend plays. He's a good runner, as well as a good thrower. Their running back, transferred from Miami, tough runner, physical, breaks tackles. They're playing really good complementary football, all 3 phases. And so a good football team, a well-coached football team that's executing very well and playing to their strengths, which that's why they've had a chance to turn the program around and are now bowl eligible.
Ken McMillan from the Times Herald Record. Jeff, every football program goes through attrition through the years. You have a big freshman class coming in. What does it say about these 19 seniors who are still here, plus the supporting senior staff? Can you speak about what it takes to get from start to finish?
To make it from the start to finish at West Point takes somebody that's mentally tough, somebody that's competitive and resilient and just determined. It's not easy. It's not easy to make it. And a lot of the guys that come into this program, they're guys that are really smart. They finished, tops of their class. They're student body presidents, class presidents, Eagle Scouts, captains of their team, leaders in their communities. And this place will challenge even the most accomplished high school students when they arrive. The rigors of the academics here the standards, the professional standards of being a West Point cadet, and you put on top of that playing college football, which, you know, for our guys, that's an incredible time commitment. This afternoon, for example, our guys will get out of class just before 2 o'clock, and they'll make their way up here and get changed and ready for practice. Some of them got to get pre-practice tape and treatments. At 2:30, they're going to be ready to go for their first obligation. And that'll be the same tomorrow. Whether it's a meeting or a lift or whatever it may be, they're here ready to go at 2:30. So I've got 30, 40 minutes at the most to get up here and be ready to go. And then, you know, we're here. We have meetings, practice, and lifts, and they got to cut the tape off and get treatment, see the doctor or whatever after practice sometimes. It's a time commitment. And then we serve dinner here in our building so that they can get a good meal and refuel their bodies before they go down for evening study period. And then they have evening study period and wake up and do it all over again the next day. It's very difficult. Our guys spend more time with their sport likely than a typical athlete does, just because of all of the prep work that goes into being prepared for practice, to put the equipment on and get taped up, and the treatments and the meetings and all of those things. So it's a real challenge. And even for the most accomplished student athletes, it's a difficult environment to come into. So they are resilient and they're tough. And I think anytime a guy can finish out, it speaks to his character.
Jeff, obviously a lot of your senior players have found themselves in starting roles, and are there here or the seniors? It's the unsung heroes in your heart.
I think oftentimes anybody that's a specialist oftentimes gets overlooked. We've got 2 senior long snappers, Ryan Aguilar and Pat Sesniak. Both of those guys have been in the program obviously for 4 years, and Aguilar's our starter, but the way that both of those guys work and prepare, I'm just really impressed with both of those guys, because they're not going to be in the articles that people write or on the highlight films and those kinds of things. So those are a couple of guys. There's guys that over the course of their career here have just worked their way into positions where they're getting to play and getting to start, and, or making a contribution. And look at our 3 quarterbacks. Tyler obviously is the one that's had the most experience and played the most games, but you have a guy like Jamel Jones that steps up and starts some games for us this year, Cade Ballard, and just what he's meant, both as a sophomore when he and Tyler were kind of volleying back and forth there throughout that season. And just, I think all 3 of those senior quarterbacks stand out. But a guy like Kobina Bonsu, he's a prep school guy, he was a direct guy who had a medical leave, and so he's in his 5th year here, and just the toughness that he's shown and how he's battled through injury and other things to be ready to graduate and really playing good, tough football right now in his career. Tyler, who went through a prep year, I just mentioned him, and now is, you know, finally getting ready to graduate this semester, and trying to lead our team as he's done throughout his career here to some victories as we close the season out. Marquel Broughton, not an unsung hero, a guy that really stands out, but just what his leadership and what his energy and the life that he puts into this program and what he's meant. I think he's a big part of this senior class. There's some seniors on this team that haven't played very much, and they may not play as much as they'd like to this Saturday or in the Saturdays to come, but they've meant a lot to our team and have worked and invested, and just the fact that they're still here and the toughness that's displayed in just that resiliency. Ryan Jakovic is a guy that is a senior wide receiver, got hurt in preseason camp, hasn't been able to play all this year. I think he was as physically prepared and ready as he has been in his career, and unfortunately hasn't been able to play. Cole Catterbone, that's a guy that, you talk about a tough guy. We rely on him for so much. So I could talk about each one of those seniors, but there's just really a great group of guys in this senior class, and I'm hopeful that we can play our best football this Saturday, and as we continue this season, so that those guys can experience some success again.
Notably, the offenses, especially in the second halves, look at the film every week. How close are you to fixing it? How close are you to getting it to where you want to be?
Oh, there's a lot there to show that we're not far away, but I'm frustrated. As our coaches, Coach Davis and the offensive staff, frustrated as well, and we've obviously got to do a better job. We got to do a better job of moving the football and scoring points, particularly in the second half. In the first half, we moved the ball pretty good on Saturday. We just didn't score any points. We had a couple of fumbles, and that's not how we've won. We've won by controlling the ball, keeping possession of the ball, having those long drives that keep the ball away from the other team. And Troy ran 3 plays in the first quarter. That's exactly like we'd like for it to happen, but we can't come up with no points. We got to get points. And in the second half, to come back out and to perform again and do the same thing and put some drives together. And we had a negative yardage play on a play action pass that we tried down our own end. We had a foolish penalty. We blocked below the waist on the perimeter, and it cost us 15 yards, and we went, to 1st and 25. It's hard for us to overcome. It's hard for anybody to overcome. You convert on a 1st and 25. We've had some things like that have put us behind, and that's not where we play our best. So we got to correct those things. We got to protect the passer better and not allow him to get sacked. And we've got to follow the rules, the new blocking rules. And that was a guy just trying to make a play, and he thought he was within the rules to do it, and it wasn't. So I think we're closer than it probably looks, but I share in everybody's frustration.